Hi friends! Welcome to my first ever YouTube tutorial. Today I'm going to show you my go-to glam makeup look. First, I'm starting off with the Tatcha Water Cream Moisturizer, and this is my favorite moisturizer for my oily skin, so I use it basically every day, but especially when I do my makeup. Next, I'm going to moisturize my lips using my favorite lip balm. I use the Jack Black Intense Therapy Lip Balm, but you can use your favorite lip balm. Here I'm priming my eyes using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer, and just make sure that you blend it in pretty well. After this, I'm going to use some primer for my skin. The favorite of mine right now is the Pure Canvas Primer from Mercier. It's the blurring primer. I really like how this actually blurs out my pores, and it actually is very good for oily skin too. I've noticed that my makeup will last a lot longer. After that, my second primer that I use is the Timeless Smoothing Primer by Tarte. This is a really great primer for filling in your pores. I like to put it in my fingers and warm it up between my hands and then push it into the skin. And especially I like to focus it on my problem areas where I have more pores. Next, I'm going to take a couple of pumps of foundation onto the back of my hand, and I'm going to use a damp beauty blender to blend this into my skin. The foundation I'm using today is the Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation by Nars. This is my favorite foundation right now. It's not that long wearing on me because I have oily skin, but it's a really great finished foundation, so I love the way it makes my skin look whenever I've worn it for a couple of hours. And it does get a little oily, so it will start to break up, but I just love the way that it looks. I get a ton of compliments when I wear this foundation. Next, I'm going to take Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer and start to highlight my face. So what I like to do is I like to use this on my under eyes, a little bit right in my forehead, on my nose, and a little bit on my chin. And I, again, take my damp beauty blender and blend it all out. I also like to blend this over my eyelids just to neutralize any undertones I might have there because I'm going to put some eyeshadow on later. Continuing on with cream contouring, what I'm going to do now is take the Huda Beauty Tantour in the shade Light, and what I like to do is take a little bit onto the back of my hand and take my brush and then start to place it into the hollows of my cheeks slowly and blending it out as I go. I like to build this up instead of starting off with a very strong line and then trying to blend it out because I feel like this works the best for me. It doesn't take off a lot of my foundation that I've already placed there. So first I'm going to do my cheeks, then I'm going to do my forehead, and then I'm going to do my jawline. And these are the places that I like to contour, but a lot of people do like their nose and other areas of their face, but these are just the ones that I do typically. So now I'm blending it into my forehead. Here I start to do it a little bit on my nose. I don't know the first thing about cream contouring your nose or even contouring your nose in general, so I'm not really going to talk about it. I just kind of felt like doing it in the moment, and so I just went ahead and tried a little bit, but I'm nowhere near an expert in giving advice, so I'm just not going to really mention it. And then here I'm just going to cream contour my jawline. So now I'm going to take some Mercier loose setting powder, and I'm going to set my under eye and other areas of my face, trying to avoid where I did some cream contouring. This is my favorite setting powder ever. I've tried a bunch, and this is the only one that I feel like actually really does make my makeup last and gives me a really nice finish. I love to bake with it. What I usually do is I just take a bunch of it, put it underneath my eyes, some on my nose and my chin and my forehead, and I leave it there and continue on with my makeup and then come back and brush it off. Now I'm doing my eyeshadow, and the two palettes that I used here are the Huda Beauty Nude palette and the Jaclyn Morphe palette. The Huda Beauty Nude palette is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow palettes, and the Jaclyn Hill palette I think is just a really good staple to have. I typically use it in all of my eyeshadow looks. I like to use some of the blending shades and some of the glitter shades from it just to complete any look, like add more dimension or any of that into my eyeshadow looks. Some of my favorite colors in the Huda Beauty palette are just the very neutral blending shades in there, and then also the foiled shadows. What I did here is I took Teddy and Tickle and I blended that into my crease and the outer corner and the inner corner. And then what I'm gonna do after that is take some of the contour shades from the Shade and Light palette and just use that to add dimension, just to make it a little bit darker, because the Huda Beauty Nude palette doesn't have a darker brown color that I really like. It has more of like a reddish brown, but I wanted a more like darker brown in there. And then here what I'm doing is I'm taking the light shade from the Shade and Light palette, and I'm taking that and just whiting out my eyelids, kind of like a halo eye, and then I'm going to go in and add some glitter from the Huda Beauty palette to that. So I just like to use my fingers, and I just take some of the glitter foil shadows in there and I just place them onto my eyes. I do a couple of layers, but I started off with Daydream and then I ended with Crave at the top. Daydream is a little bit darker of a shadow, and then Crave is very gold. So I did that, and then I'm just again taking the Shade and Light palette and blending a little bit more contour, the darker brown shade, just to kind of finish it off and make sure that it's how I want it. Now I'm going to finish setting the rest of my face and my under eyes. What I like to use, especially for my under eye area, is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm the shade 2 medium, and what I do is I just use that under my eyes, and I didn't actually brush off the Laura Mercier powder. I left it there and I press it into the skin using this, and then I also just use this powder to set the rest of my face. And next I'm also going to use the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Blurring Powder Foundation also to set my face. I'm a little powder crazy just because I have oily skin, and so because I'm using a foundation that's a little bit more not long wearing on me, I go a little powder crazy. And again, here I am using more powder, but what I'm doing here is I'm using the Shade and Light palette, the two lightest colors, and using that to highlight my face. Now I'm finishing off my under eyes by taking some of the dark shades from the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm stamping that onto my lower lash line. Now I'm going to powder contour, and really this is mostly just to set the contour that I already did with the cream, but I'm using the Shade and Light palette, and I'm just going over wherever I cream contoured my face. So that's the hollows of my cheeks, my jawline, and then my forehead. Moving on to blush, first I'm going to use the shade Party in the Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-Hour Blush. This is my favorite everyday blush. I use it whenever I go to work or if I'm just doing my makeup on a casual day, and it's a great color just for every single day use. Next I'm going to go over this blush with the same brand but a different shade called Blushing Bride. And then right after that, I'm going to use the Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush by the brand Hourglass in Euphoric Fusion. So the reason I use these additional two colors is just the second one, the Blushing Bride, it just adds a little bit more color. And then the Ambient one is going to just add a little bit more like shininess, or just a little bit more like, because I've put so much powder on my face, I just need to bring back a little bit more like pizzazz, I would say. Now I'm going to be going and doing my mascara. You don't understand how hard I had to try to keep my mouth shut while I was doing my mascara. But I use two different mascaras. I use the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara first. That's the first layer that I do. And then the second layer that I do is the Roller Lash by Benefit. I like the Tarte one just to kind of give myself, or not Tarte, sorry, Too Faced. I like that one just to add more volume. And then the Roller Lash is a really good like combing out mascara, and it makes my lashes more like it just makes them longer. Lastly, I'm going to be highlighting my face. I don't like to highlight a lot. I just like to use a little bit of something just to kind of add a little bit more life into my skin. And what I like to use is the Ambient Strobe Lighting Powder from Hourglass in the shade Euphoric Strobe Light. So what I do is I just kind of add a little bit onto my upper cheekbone area, a little bit on my nose, and just a little bit over my eyebrows. And the reason I don't highlight a lot is just because I'm kind of oily in general, and so I don't like to just add too much highlight because I'm gonna have natural highlight like just kind of come through anyways. Moving on to lips. First I'm gonna wipe off the excess lip balm that I have on, and then I'm gonna make a weird face because I couldn't find my lip sharpener, or not my lip sharpener, my pencil sharpener for my lip liner. So here what I'm doing is I'm outlining my lips and then just filling them in with the Artist Color Pencil from Make It Forever. And my favorite shade is the color 602 Completely Sepia. It's a very natural shade. It's just kind of like your lips but better. And I'm doing a nude lip here just because it goes pretty well with the eyeshadow and just like the overall look. A nude lip's just the easiest, and I love to do nude lips. And then now I'm going to be going in with the YSL color number 7. This is my favorite liquid lipstick. It's super, it's not very drying, and it stays on my lips for a really long time. I like to take this and outline my lips with it and then go in and lightly fill it in as well. I also like to blend it into my lips with my fingers just to make sure that it kind of like sinks into my lips. And then once that's dry, what I do on top is I take the color Raquel from Nars, and they're actually I'm not sure what these lipsticks are called. I think they're the Audacious lipsticks, but I'll leave all the information down below so you'll be able to find it. But I just like to add this on top. This makes it just a little bit more creamy, and I just love the color combination of these two. And then finally, I go over that with some lip gloss. Obviously, you don't have to do lip gloss. I just love adding lip gloss because it just makes your lips look so healthy and just shiny and everything. And I'm going in with the Sugar shade from Marc Jacobs. This is one of my favorite nude lip glosses. And with that, this makeup look is complete. I hope you all really liked the video. Please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.